All right, let's get right into it. Did you know there's a hidden folder inside every Claude Code project that most people, and I mean most people, never even touch? It's called the .claude folder. And really, it's the secret control panel for your AI assistant. It's in charge of everything, from what Claude remembers all the way to the custom skills it can pull off. And here's the thing, if you've never peeked inside this folder, you're probably only using about 10% of what Claude Code can actually do. Just 10%. So that begs the question, right? Where's the other 90%? Well, it's all locked away inside that hidden folder we just talked about. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to unlock it together. So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at what I call your two playbooks. Then, we'll get into the core toolkit, the real nuts and bolts. From there, we'll step it up to advanced customization, see how it all works in a real-world scenario, and by the end, you'll be ready to build your own way. Okay, first things first, and this is probably the single most important idea to get your head around. There isn't just one Claude folder. Nope, there are actually two. And understanding how they're different, well, that's the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. And this separation is absolutely key. Think of it like this. On one side, you've got the project.claude folder. It lives right inside your project directory, and it holds all the rules and commands specific to that project. This is the one you share with your team, so everybody is working from the same script. But then you have the home folder. This one lives in your personal home directory, and it's your personal playbook. It's where you keep your own private shortcuts and preferences that you want to use everywhere, across all your projects. All right, now that we know where to look, let's open up the core toolkit. Inside these folders, you'll find 4 essential pieces that you're going to be using all the time. The absolute star of the show here is a file called claude.md. This little file gets automatically injected into every single one of your sessions. But listen, here's the crucial mistake people make. It is not an encyclopedia for you to just dump a ton of information into. No way. Think of it more like air traffic control. Its only job is to give high-level directions and point Claude to the right resources at exactly the right time. So, how do you use it right? Well, you've got to keep it lean. A good rule of thumb is under 50 lines. Use it for the big picture stuff, project architecture, key conventions, maybe some important gotchas to watch out for. And if you have personal stuff you don't want to commit to the team repo, you can use a file called claude.local.md for that. But the most important thing, use it to point to your detailed rules, not to actually hold them. And that brings us perfectly to the next tool, rules. I like to think of these as your golden knight in shining armor. Why? Because they save your claude.md from getting bloated. You can offload all those super detailed instructions into their own separate files. And this is so efficient because Claude only loads a rule when it's actually needed. This keeps your main context window lean, clean, and super focused. All right, next up, commands versus skills. The difference here is simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Commands are reactive. They wait for you. You have to tell them when to run by using a slash command, like /process meeting. Skills, though, they're proactive. They are always watching your conversation, looking for trigger words, and they jump into action automatically the second the conditions are right. So, for example, if you just create a file named process meeting inside your commands folder, boom, you instantly have a brand new slash command. Now you can just type /process meeting latest and kick off a whole complex predefined workflow. It really is that easy. And check this out. Here's a little pro tip that makes your commands way more powerful. You can use this $ symbol as a placeholder for an argument inside your command file. It basically acts as a wildcard. This lets you pass in specific info, like a meeting ID or a keyword, right after the command itself. It just adds this whole other layer of flexibility. Okay, so we've nailed the basics. We've got the core toolkit down. Now let's level up and get into the advanced stuff, the features that give you really fine-grained control over how Claude behaves. We're talking about agents, settings, and hooks. So imagine you find yourself using sub-agents for the same complex task over and over again. Well, you can basically promote them and make them permanent, specialized agents. It's like having a dedicated expert on your team. This is great because it protects your main context window. And, even better, you can assign the perfect model for that specific job. Maybe the powerful sonnet for heavy-duty analysis or the super-fast haiku for quick checks. And let's circle back to skills for a second with a couple of expert-level tips. You can add a line, disable auto-invocation true, which basically turns a proactive skill into a command-only tool, perfect for when you only want it to run on your command.
Or you can use context fork, which tells the skill to run in its own totally separate context window. And get this, you can even chain these assets together, so a skill can call a rule, creating these really cool layers of automation.
And finally, let's talk about the ultimate layer of control, settings.json and hooks. Think of settings.json as your master control panel for security and permissions. It's where you decide exactly what Claude can and can't do. Can it run bash commands? Can it edit files? You decide. And hooks take that automation one step further. They let you execute commands at very specific moments, like, say, right before a tool is used, which is perfect for protecting credentials or setting up a temporary environment. All right, theory is great, but let's see how all these pieces, commands, skills, rules, all of it come together in a real-world example. We're going to look at a meeting flow project, and trust me, this is where you'll really see the magic happen. Okay, so picture this. You finish a meeting. You run one single command, /process meeting latest. That's your part done. Now, behind the scenes, a skill called Action Tracker sees the transcript and automatically pulls out all the action items. The output from that skill immediately triggers a second skill, Auto Follow-up, which starts drafting follow-up emails. The whole time, an email drafting rules rule is making sure the tone and format of those emails are perfect. You could even have a specialized meeting analyst agent overseeing the whole thing for quality control. And all of this is wrapped in the safety of your settings.json file, which makes sure Claude only touches the files it's supposed to. It's an entire automated workflow that you built. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that we're not just talking about a bunch of text files in a hidden folder. No, this is a complete framework for building a version of Claude that is tailored to you, one that works the way you work and thinks the way you think. You've officially unlocked that other 90%. You now know how to separate team-wide logic from your own personal shortcuts. You can keep your context window lean and fast using rules. You can create your own flexible /commands, build proactive always-on skills, deploy specialist agents for the hard stuff, and control the entire system with custom settings. So what you've really done is transformed Claude from just a simple assistant into a truly personalized, automated extension of your own workflow. An extension of your own mind, really. So the only question left is, what are you going to build first?